This I believe. I believe that change is possible because I believe that learning is possible. And I believe that we change the way that we think about learning, and therefore schooling, by learning about the ways that we learn and the ways that we change. I believe that we change how we think about learning by paying attention to how we ourselves learn. I believe it's a deep process and a deeply personal one, a process of learning and unlearning, filling and unfilling, and I believe it requires risk and, when possible, safety. I believe that we change how we think about learning by paying attention to how we learn with, from, and among others. I believe it's a deep process and a deeply social one that requires us to be in relationship with others. And I believe it requires knowing that there's no right thing, no right way, and no right answer. I believe that we change how we think about learning by noticing the ways we and things around us connect. I believe it's a deep process and a deeply interactive one. It requires us to engage, whether with things, materials, systems, stories, languages, and ideas. And I believe it requires being creative thinkers while actively building, making, and creating ourselves. I believe that we all teach anyway, no matter what we do, and the curriculum is all around us. So, when faced with the question of what is my ideal vision of schooling and education, I believe it is to be a learner in a community of learners. And so, my ideal vision of a school is a place that offers you the space to be a learner, whether you are in fact designated as a student, a teacher, an administrator, a counselor, a parent, or a friend. And a school is that ideal, that place that allows you to be safe while you take risks, and a place that encourages risk taking by being relatively safe, which, as Bell Hooks and Nell Notting might write, it's ultimately about care and fundamentally about caring. In the midst of school reform, when so many are standing up with answers, I am encouraging questions. What if we all learned to be learners again? The world is rapidly changing around us. There is so much to learn right where we stand. This I believe. I celebrate Jean Jordan and her students naming their own and the terms of their own language, and Diane Ravage's ability to notice she doesn't agree with herself anymore. I'm humbled by the absolute beauty and power of removing oneself from the oppressor's gaze, while inspired by the organizing over the decades to appropriately fund publicly available schools, and I'm fueled by them both now. I hear Gloria Ladson-Billings holding us all accountable, while I read, reread, and reflect on Delpit's warnings about power and privilege and repeat the phrase to myself, other people's children. And I tap into streams of consciousness rising and falling, the fluid knowledge throughout this particular philosophy of education class, as I pick up on conversations via the social web and start to notice my noticing, those that are about race, privilege, power, and knowledge, among all the rest. And I connect with my classmates via discussions and share our thoughts via tweets on the open web with colleagues and acquaintances and strangers and friends. I learn, I unlearn, I fill, I refill to find the words, the ideas, the images, the spaces, the sounds, the feelings that connect us. And I wonder about those that don't. And this is a deeply personal, deeply social, and deeply engaged process of learning. These stories, these feelings, these impressions come with me on my own learning journey, and when my journey mixes with the journeys of others, this, I believe, is what ultimately changes. And this change and the learning goes hand in hand with agency. I have the right to access what I need when I need it in the context of that need, and forge my own walk ahead. We all have that right. And when we practice these rights in relationship and through engagement with others and the world around which we live, this to me is the place and the space we can rightly call school. Teachers, therefore, are the ones who lead us there. When am I happy and when am I sad, and what is the difference? What do I need to know to stay alive? What is true in the world? Asked Palladi to herself in the Song of Solomon. Each soul and each race soul needs its own peculiar curriculum, writes W.E.B. Du Bois. We must make the road by walking, says Paulo Freire and Miles Horton. We will not let an exam result decide our fate, says spoken word artist Sola Breezy. This I believe.